Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Applied Physiology Friday. It is the last Friday in May. We're coming up on Memorial Day, and in the CrossFit community that means Memorial Day Murph. We will be taking a look at Memorial Day Murph workout this afternoon. But first, today's background is in honor of my dad, my hero, New York State Police, U.S. Army, military police. He has served our country with honor. It would be more apropos if this was a Veterans Day Zoomcast, but on every military day, I always reach out and thank all of our fighting men and women, U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, first responders, police. Thank you, because you keep our world safe and you let me do what I do. So much love to my dad. Fred Hickey, State Police, retired and served our country in the military police during the Korean War conflict, as it's called in the history books. So much love to my dad. Thank you so much for all that you do. Now we will getting started, taking a look at Memorial Day Murph. We'll get the screen share going here. All right, so taking a look, Memorial Day Murph. The purpose of today's session, we're going to look at the physiology of Memorial Day Murph, and also for anybody that's going to be undertaking this workout, talk about it, some strategy, and also for my aspiring strength coaches, and my current strength coaches as well, how can we use this landmark workout in our regular programming? So first thing, a little bit of a backstory behind the Memorial Day Murph workout. It's Memorial Day Murph is the Murph workout in the CrossFit community was designed to honor Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy, and Lieutenant Murphy is a New York born and bred, Long Island strong. He was a Navy SEAL, and he was killed in action in 2005 in Afghanistan, and he was killed knowingly exposing himself to the enemy. He came under gunfire while placing a call for help to protect his fellow teammates. This workout, the Murph workout, was one of his favorite workouts. And so this weekend, and especially on Monday, if you do this workout, put it in your heart, put it in your soul that we are privileged to celebrate the life of Michael Murphy and his heroism. Each and every time we do this workout, especially on Memorial Day, and also when you are doing this workout, put into your heart, put into your soul the fact that we are honoring all of our fighting men and women, that if it weren't for them, we couldn't do what we do on a daily basis. So the Murph workout consists of a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 body weight squats, and then it finishes up with a mile run. So when we take a look at the physiological demands of this workout, basically from a components of fitness standpoint, we're looking at two things. We have aerobic conditioning, and then also our localized muscular endurance is going to be taxed. So in terms of aerobic conditioning, look at the overall time of this workout. It's going to take anywhere from 35 minutes to over an hour to complete the entire workout. During that time, heart rate is going to be at least in the low green heart rate zone that we talked about last week, which is above 99 to below that 180 minus age threshold. And then the other thing that's going to be taxed that we haven't talked about in our previous sessions is going to be our localized muscular endurance. So push-ups, pull-ups, and body weight squats, they're going to address musculature around certain joints, while other musculature around other joints isn't going to be working. So in terms of the physiology, the first thing is, since this is going to be an aerobic workout, when we're looking at heart rates and where do we want to keep this, we want to keep this in that green zone. We want to keep the entire workout in the green, in that 180 minus age and below. And then when we get into our localized muscular endurance, we're going to talk about a strategy called partitioning. So how do we break up the 100 push-up, the 100 pull-ups, the 200 push-ups, the 300 body weight squats, so that we do this workout and we're able to complete it. And it's going to be something that we will be able to come back 2 or 3 days later and continue to train. So the key takeaway is that this workout is a test of work capacity. For my physiology students, I know Prince is on the call today, that when we look at the physics of it, when we look at work capacity, work is force times distance. So there's not going to be power involved in here. It's not going to be how quickly we can do 2 pull-ups or 5 pull-ups. It's going to be how quickly we can undertake all 100 pull-ups, all 200 push-ups, all 300 body weight squats. So we're going to look at that as one huge segment. Taking a look at our aerobic formula from a couple of weeks ago, we have fuel. Just give me let me get my highlighter going. So we have our fuel plus oxygen is going to give us ATP, carbon dioxide, and water. So with this workout, one of the keys in order to succeed and do very well at it is going to be using fat as the fuel. So it's going to take the body 20 minutes to get into that good fat burning state. It's going to be important in that first mile run that you keep the heart rate below that 180 minus age. So you want to keep the heart rate in the high green zone. So, and you want to be using fat as a fuel. As a metric, if you're using a heart rate monitor, keeping that heart rate under 180 minus age, or another one, if you're not going to use a heart rate monitor, nasal breathing only. If I'm only breathing through my nose when I run, my heart rate is going to be kept in that green zone, so that I'm forcing my body to use this aerobic pathway. I'm not getting any lactate built up. I'm not getting any hydrogen ions built up. So my body isn't going to go into that anaerobic stress, or my body isn't going to be using muscle and liver glycogen as a fuel. My body's just going to be using, my body will just be using fat as well, using fat as the predominant fuel source. So that's going to be our first key. Keep this workout deep aerobic, keep it in a deep aerobic state, keep that heart rate in that green zone. So that's going to be that 180 minus age if you're using a heart rate monitor, or if you are using breathing as your monitor, you want to keep it as nasal breathing only. So that's going to keep you burning fat as a fuel source, using the CO2 to regulate respiration, and then the body is going to recycle that water. Now, if you do have a time goal, or if you do want to maximize your performance, you want to keep it nasal breathing only through the first mile run, nasal breathing only through the body weight exercises, and then in that last mile run, let the horse out of the barn. Let the heart rate build over 90% over that last mile, and finish the workout strong. And here, since that last mile is only going to be under 10 minutes, you can let the heart rate gradually build to over 90%, and then in that last half mile, you can really let the heart rate ramp up. You can really get into that the lactic pathway. So let's take a look at our body weight movements now. So you finished the first run, kept the heart rate nasal breathing only. And now you're ready to get into the body weight movements. You're ready to attack 100 pull-ups. You're ready to attack 200 push-ups, and you're ready to attack 300 body weight squats. The key here, we have 2 upper body stations, we have 1 lower body station. So the name of the game is going to be partition. All partition means, it's a fancy word, means break it up. So I'm going to partition my workouts, I'm going to partition my stations between upper and lower body. So we're going to do 10 pull-ups and then 15 body weight squats, 20 push-ups, 15 body weight squats. This is going to be my strategy for Monday morning. And then my plan here is I'm going to do 10 rounds of this. If I do 10 rounds, I've done 100 pull-ups, 300 body weight squats, and 200 push-ups. So the reason why we're gonna split it up like this, we're gonna split shoulders. We're gonna split our uppers and our lowers like this: 10 pulls, 15 body weight squats, 20 push-ups, 15 body weight squats. Is that my shoulders or my deltoids are going to be active in both my upper and my lower body movements. So what I want to do is let my shoulders work with the pull-ups. Let them rest during the body weight squats. Have them work again during the push-ups. Let them rest during the body weight squats. That's 1 round. And then I go right back to my pull-ups, right back to my body weight squats, right back to my push-ups, and right back to my body weight squats. The next thing, and this is going to be huge, is nasal breathing only during my body weight movements. And the reason why is that when I'm doing my body weight movements, only breathing through my nose, I'm going to optimize my biomechanics. Think about this for my NASCAR fans out there as putting a restrictor plate on my engine. If you've ever watched the Daytona 500, the cars that race in Daytona are very, very fuel efficient to the point that everybody runs in a line and the cars draft off of each other. You want to contrast that with a smaller racetrack where there's no restrictor plate and the engines just are going to run wide open. That would be the body working in an anaerobic state. So keep the nasal breathing only, optimize the biomechanics. By reducing the oxygen intake into the body, it's going to force my body to engage in the most efficient movement patterns. When I am doing my pull-ups, when I am doing my squats, when I am doing my push-ups, and I'm only breathing through my nose, my body is going to recruit the muscles in the most efficient pattern in order to get that job done. If I start breathing through my mouth, then my body is going to have extra energy to burn inefficiently, and it's just going to bring in other muscle groups willy-nilly. So by only breathing through my nose, I'm going to have the most efficient movement pattern. The next thing this is going to do is minimize the general fatigue. So when we look at the Murph workout, I have two types of fatigue are going on. I have my general fatigue and I have my local fatigue. The general fatigue is my entire body. When I do the run portion of the workout, that's going to put my body in a generally fatigued state, total body tiredness. Then when I move into my body weight movements, then I will be having localized muscular fatigue. So my shoulders are going to get tired. My triceps are going to get tired. My biceps will get tired at various points throughout the workout. My glutes will get tired when I do my squats. My quadriceps will get tired. But they're going to be working and then resting, working and then resting. So by breathing through my nose, what I'm doing is I'm minimizing my general fatigue and I'm prolonging the onset of my general fatigue so I have more gas in the tank when I move to that final mile run. second here. All right, and give me, we got some little technical difficulties. All right, so next thing we take a look at, so we've talked about the difference between general fatigue, local fatigue. General fatigue is going to be the entire body. My mile run gets me generally fatigued, and then I move into a localized muscular fatigue. That's going to be where I build my muscular endurance if I were to do this workout on the regular. Talk about that in a couple of minutes. But the next thing we got to take a look at, gyms are closed because of Corona. So if we're looking at some pull-up alternatives, if you're going to do this outside, I know Prince, you're in Tallahassee, and if you were going to do this workout and the FAMU track was open, there's a beautiful pull-up bar right outside the FAMU track. That's one of my favorite spots to do this workout. But FAMU track is closed. There's no pull-up bars in the parks. How are we going to do our pull-ups? Well, we have two options. Two options that I like are TRX rows. So we're going to use a TRX, the TRX straps. As a side note, my TRXs are standard. They're standard issue for the military. So we can get out. You can get out, and if you are an operator, if you're the SEAL teams actually have TRXs issued to them so that they can maintain their strength and conditioning while they're on deployment. So if we have a TRX strap, we're gonna lash that strap to something that's not gonna move, to a stationary object, and we can do TRX rows. I would recommend for TRX rows that if you're gonna do 100 pull-ups, the substitute would be 200 TRX rows. Or another alternative is going to be our Australian pull-ups. And with our Australians, we're anchoring our feet down here and pulling up there, just like a regular pull-up. And with an Australian, my formula for substitution is, for 100 pull-ups, I'm going to substitute in 150 Australians. So on Monday, instead of 100 pull-ups, I'll do 150 Australians, 200 push-ups, and then 300 bodyweight squats. I checked out a place right down the road from where I am, and I'm able to, did a couple of trial runs with Australians and bodyweight squats and push-ups. And so I've trained for this workout and I am ready to go. So that's going to be our pull-up alternatives. Now, for our aspiring strength coaches, so we got this great workout. We got Murph. It tests generalized cardiovascular endurance. We're going to have general fatigue. It tests localized muscular endurance through my push-ups, through my pull-ups, through my bodyweight squats. So how can we use this workout? And CrossFit is great. They gave us this, they came up with a way to honor Lieutenant Murphy. And so now how do we use this workout in our programming? A couple of different ways. The first one is going to be to use it as a reference point. So if anybody's going to tackle Murph for the first time this Memorial Day, collect data on it. Look at your heart rate. Look at the time spent in each of the 3 heart rate zones, red, yellow, green. Look at rate of perceived effort. So rate of perceived effort is how hard do you think you are working? Look at recovery. So how long did it take the heart rate to drop down to 99 after you were done with the workout? Then in the following days, look at HRV. We're going to be looking at HRV is heart rate variability. We're going to be talking about this a little bit later on in the summer. And heart rate variability is a measure of chronic fatigue. So when you do Murph on Monday, on Tuesday, you will not be ready to do another hard workout. You may not be ready until Thursday. HRV is going to be one of the data points that tells you when you are ready to go again with another hard workout. Another data point to look at is how long did it take you to do the entire workout, so time to completion. And then you can also look at your mile splits. What was your first mile? What was your second mile? So the more data that you can collect, or if you're working, you're programming this for a team, the more data you can collect for your athletes, the better you can use Murph as a tool. So once we've collected the data, the next thing we're going to do is periodically program this workout. All that means is that every once in a while, we're going to do Murph. And I would recommend, if we're working with a sport that demands a large amount of cardiovascular endurance and localized muscular endurance, we would do this workout in week 3, the first day of week 3 of off-season conditioning. You would allow the first 2 weeks to gradually let fitness build. And look at the first 2 weeks of an off-season conditioning program as an on-ramp. Once the on-ramp is completed, we're going to test our athletes. We're going to do Murph. We're going to collect data, and then we're going to implement a training program. We're not necessarily going to train for Murph. We're going to train for the sport. So maybe we're training for lacrosse. Maybe we're training for soccer. Maybe we're training for football or hockey. But we're going to do Murph, and Murph is going to be our test, because Murph is it's very good in terms of simulating a field-based or an intermittent sport, because we're swapping between activities like a football player would do or like a lacrosse player would do. So we're gonna do it first day of the conditioning period, and then once the conditioning period is over, on that last day, bam, we're gonna do it again. So for my aspiring academics, my aspiring collegiate strength coaches, this is just going to be what's known in the biz as a test-retest model. We test them, we give them Murph, we train them for 2 months, 3 months, 2 months or 3 months, whatever the case may be, however long our off-season period is, and then we test them again, and then we compare this data, and we say, hey, did my athletes get fitter or did they not? Another way that we can use Murph is going to be as a substitute for competition. So in hockey, we have the team within the team, the Black Aces. These are the guys that do not play. Hockey roster has somewhere around 30 athletes, but you're only going to dress 22 for a game. That means that 8 are going to sit. So they're going to be sitting in section P with the parents, as my good friend Coach Bennett says. So if we're coaching a hockey team and we have a tournament, say we're playing in a tournament, and then after the tournament we're going to go into a 2 or 3 week break period. Say it's the end of I'm working with a collegiate hockey team, and we're going to play in a holiday tournament right around Christmas time, and then we'll go into maybe a week break. So my players, they're going to play in the tournament. They're going to play in 2 games. My Black Aces, they're not going to play in the tournament, so I need to give them a workout that's going to substitute, it's going to let them experience some of the physiology that they would experience if they were in the game, so that all athletes are equally tired going into that break. So all the Black Aces, when the second game of the tournament starts, they're going to be in the weight room. They're going to do Murph, and then once they're done with Murph, they're going to come out, watch the end of the game. And then everybody the next day is going to be on the same page in terms of fatigue. Another one that we could use, and my guy Coach Horrigan at Wake Forest, he does a workout called Red Dawn, and this is for the athletes that are not traveling to an away game. So when Wake plays the Cuse at the Cuse, there's 85 to 100 athletes on the roster, but only about 53 are going to travel to away games. that leaves 30 guys, 30 plus guys, plus the red shirts back at Wake, and they're not playing on Saturday. So he has one of the strength coaches. What they'll do, well, because Coach Horrigan travels with the team, on game day, everybody meets at the Wake Forest Stadium right at dawn, and they do a workout similar to Murph to simulate what's going on in terms of the demands of football. So you could actually program Murph, say on the college championship game, if they're playing in the conference championship game. On the Red Dawn workout would be Murph, because they're going to have a nice break before they move into a bowl game. So using Murph as a substitute for competition. In my training, if I'm not racing, so right now with Corona, there is no running races, there is no bike races. So I program Murph on the major holidays. The first reason I do it is to honor the memory of Murph, to honor the memory of our fighting men and women that are with us still, that we're honored to have their presence, like my dad. And so I'll do it on the major patriotic holidays to honor them. But the other thing I'm going to do is it's a hard enough stimulus where it's going to simulate a race on that day. So that's how we're going to use Murph in training. To get in contact with me, get in touch, reach out, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, RunBikeDoc. Email me at runbikedoc@gmail.com, and YouTube. My YouTube channel is up and running. Just drop into the Google Doc Hickey ESD, and well, that will take you to my site. All of these Zoomcasts are archived, and that is all I have for today. We are wrapping it up. I thank everybody for stopping by. We also kept it a little bit shorter today. This is where I do want to keep it. And much love to my dad, and I am out.
All right. Appreciate it, Doc.